Well, welcome to the HyperView podcast. I appreciate y'all coming through. We got Cosmic Roots in the building. I appreciate Keenan for putting this together and all you wonderful ebony gentlemen who came to sit down with me today. I appreciate it. If you could, let's just go around the building, introduce yourself, what instrument you play, what's your role in the band. We'll start there.
Yes, sir. What's up, y'all? I'm I play bass, key bass, and talk box. And as in, spot in the band, I help mix, most of our records, And yeah, that's about it, man.
You're the audio guy. Okay.
The audio technician guy.
Audio technician guy. Okay.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Miles Taylor, aka Saxophone Jones. I am the saxophone player for Cosmic Roots. Been with these brothers for some years now, so extremely blessed to be here, to be a part of this. I would say, I'm a business guy. I'm a brother, especially, and I would say I'm that dude that's gonna go out to bat for the homies to make sure that we get what we deserve and that we going in the trajectory that we meant to.
He handled negotiations.
What's up, everybody? My name is Joey Archie. I primarily play keys and synths in this group, but I also play trumpet from time to time.
Nice.
And just like Miles said, it's been a pleasure being with these guys for the amount of time that we've been together and just seeing how things have shaped out since we first started. We've been through a lot of things together, and so
I can imagine.
To be on this side, is truly a blessing, man. And in terms of my role, I facilitate some of the rehearsals and from a musical standpoint, I also help out within that capacity. I wouldn't say full out MD, but in that vein to a certain extent.
Yeah, I'm about to say master composer.
Stop playing. Okay, all right. He said,
My brother's humble.
He said, don't play with it. He said, don't play with it.
What's up, guys? Jay Myers. I am the drummer of the group. And man, yeah, like these guys have said, man, it's been just a pleasure being here with them. Just like, other than music as well, like it's hard to find a group of guys, especially nowadays where a lot of people are just like individualistic.
Right.
Finding guys that are not only all on the same page on where we want to go with the music and just as musicians, but just looking out for each other for whatever we need. Like it'll be like family issues. It'll be anything that we go through in like everyday life. I can look to any of these guys and I know they got my back. As far as my role, percussionist.
Okay.
Drums. I can't think of nothing else. I'm like, yeah, man.
Social media guy.
Oh yeah. I try to get everything good and organized. There we go. The organization, man.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
I feel like I am a little OCD, especially just like in the way that I do things and have to have things kind of neat and tidy in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the organization.
Right. You make sure shit has a point.
Yeah. 100%. Has to make sense.
We got to be doing something. You know what I'm saying?
Sir.
Not just because there's activity, and then you learn very quickly. I feel as a group setting, right? Like that, just activity doesn't really accomplish anything, right? Like there has to be like an underlying goal or purpose that we're doing stuff, and then like all that stuff, even though it might be different, needs to coalesce underneath this greater thing.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's a higher level of understanding and working, right? Because there's
100%.
like working on your own and being able, because you even got to collaborate with yourself. You know what I mean? Like in a sense, because there's the same way like there's stuff that you like to do or you don't like to do that you end up doing, right? Like that's somebody making that decision. And if you didn't really like it, you wouldn't really do it. So you know what I mean? So it's like you always are collaborating with yourself on a certain level. But being able to collaborate outside of yourself with other people, I feel like it's a higher level of being able to prioritize action.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. So it's important. It's just shouting you out. No, again, I appreciate you guys coming through. And I wanted to ask, you stated there's a lot of stuff you guys went through along the journey. How long have you been a band? Or like, what would you consider, right? So yeah, how long would you consider yourself a band? And then what would you consider your like starting point? Like we was officially like, this is Cosmic Roots and this a thing. Because I feel like there's like this, there's a there's a storming portion, right? Or a forming portion, then you're storming, and then you're norming, right? So like there's the thought of the idea, right? And then once we all kind of coalesce around what we all kind of think is the idea, then you kind of go through your storming phase, or now we got to clash. And then like now we're norming. We all kind of understand how each other's work, and then we can kind of normalize into a way of being. You know what I mean?
Man, that's such a deep question, and I feel like our name honestly embodies that. When you think about Cosmic Roots, especially just thinking about cosmic, right? When you think about how planets are formed, stars, galaxies,
Right.
it takes a long time and a lot of chaos, a lot of just turbulence in order for the beauty to form.
Yeah.
And for us, that honestly looked like, the studio that we talked about earlier, and really all kind of coming together there. I feel like in all different ways. I feel like Spirit brought us there. I had gotten the studio maybe 6-7 years ago. And since then, man, we had just as far as studio mates, it really wasn't the best fit. It was very tumultuous and just chaotic, abusive kind of situation. And so, but I think having that vision, and then I think again having the brothers and being able to consistently renovate and look at what is the picture, what do the brothers need, so then what do we need collectively in order to move this thing forward. So really, it's been a culmination of a few different band names, but I feel like the core of Cosmic Roots is right here. You know what I mean? And so because we even went, just to give you an example, we went by Untitled. Just because we were in between names, but the mission was.
But you didn't want to stop,
right? The mission is
because we couldn't figure out a name.
Right, we're not gonna say right. Yeah. So that. But again, I think that speaks to just what this group is that it was beyond the label of the name. We gonna figure it out,
right?
Regardless,
the name will come to us, right? Through the action.
So and that came with confidence too, because that period of time came with a lot of confidence because. For instance, we were saying we had like the studio mates.
Hold it up.
The bad studio. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, right.
The bad studio mates, and then on top of that, it was like we're trying to solidify a group and have band members and have rehearsal times, and then we got that in order, and then it was like okay, band, and we had to switch that, and so it was like all that confusion and like inconsistency could have shook us, and we could have stopped a long time ago. But the confidence, because there's been times where we performed as Band Untitled, and many people like Band Untitled, like
some whole other.
Yeah, like what is Untitled? You know what I mean? Like, so it's just us, like and like how I looked at it, like Band Untitled, I looked at it like the Kendrick Lamar album, Untitled, which is one of my favorite albums, you know what I'm saying? Especially artwork too. So, man, all the tracks on there is Untitled 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you a real fan, you would listen to that and be like, yeah, I like Untitled 6. You know what I mean? So that's where I just like went with, okay, we gonna be Untitled for the time being or however long it's gonna be. So, yeah.
No, that's dope. And I think, okay, so that leads me to a question on kind of centered on the podcast. So there's a artistic aspect to making music. And then there's like a business aspect, right? Or like a marketing aspect where to me, artistry is more like from within, without, right? Like I'm taking something that's organic to me, putting it out, and like I'm trying to figure out how to make that something live in the real medium outside of my mind. And then there's like marketing to me, which is trying to understand, like, from somebody else's perspective, like, what do you like? What are you looking for? What's on the customer's mind? And like, have you guys experienced that, like, push and pull, and like, how has that affected you in, like, how you create music, how you guys do it as a band, you individually, like, that push and pull of, like, trying to stay true to your artistry, but then at the same time kind of being double-minded and having to kind of think from other people's perspective as far as the business aspect of being able to sell the music, and the art.
Right. I definitely get that. The thing that stuck with me, I forgot who said it, but he was pretty much saying, like, don't make music for musicians. And I know it's hard. That's
Great
hard
point.
to accept.
Great point.
And that hit me hard because, I want to make music for my buddies. I want my buddies to be like, man, bro, that shit was dope. Like, man, what,
That riff.
what kind of chord was that?
Baseline.
Right.
But that's not the only people that's listening to my music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? People like my wife, I have her listen to my songs and she's like, oh, it just makes me feel like this. But what do you hear? Da-da-da. She's not a music head.
She's not listening to it on that level.
Exactly.
Right, yeah,
but
yeah,
she's
yeah.
appreciating because it makes her feel a certain way. It takes her to a certain place. So I have to understand, like, not all my audience is like that. So I have to accommodate, okay, let me not do too much on the solo. Let me just give it a vibe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Definitely that you have to pay attention to for it so people can listen to it, so it can be listenable.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I always try to say, save the nice and fun shit for the live. Because then you have your audience have the different options.
Captive. Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, I can listen to the Spotify or I can go on YouTube and download the live version. You know what I mean? Because I liked how he did the bridge there. You know what I mean? So, and sped it up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So that's one way I look at it.
Honestly, everything that he said, 100%. Great question. Also, I think Alex might be here. I think he
You
called.
slide him in?
On the point of
Yeah.
on marketing, especially, I feel like now more than ever, just living in the age of social media is like just so prevalent and just high on the list of things that you really need to understand at least a little bit as a musician.
Right.
Because, man, like, trying to book shows or going on tour or just trying to get your name out there, the first thing people ask you, oh, do you have a website?
Right.
Do you have a page? When they go on your page, do you have videos of you guys playing? Do you have some enticing pictures or things that's going to keep the
They want to see
attention?
evidence.
They want to see evidence of what you're doing.
Right.
Especially in these days, I feel like the people that came before us, the musicians that we look up to, it was a little different in the way that when you were a musician or a traveling musician and that was your job or your weekends were just full of gigs and shows,
Right.
it was the grind. It was just, oh, I'm going here, I'm going there,
Right.
I'm unpacking, I'm packing, I'm rehearsing, I'm chilling with the bros, I'm still working and stuff on top of that. But now it's like people, like you said, people want to see the evidence. They want to see, oh, what do you have on your page or what do you have within the collective that's gonna not only get my attention but help me stay here. And
Right.
when you're talking about like the venues and different festivals, that's the only thing they want to see. They want to see, oh, are you interacting with your fans? Do you have a fan base? Are the people that's coming to your shows, are they willing to come back again? Or like when I
Right.
go on your page or when I'm looking at different people to book, do you already have ticket sales or previous shows that you've done that we can
Right.
go and see? So it's like
What's
all
the
that is
evidence?
encompassed within the music business,
Right.
especially for a group that's trying to, not even trying to, but doing what we're doing for a living.
Right.
That's such an important part.
Right.
Such an important pillar. Yeah.
And do you feel like it affects you guys' music at all? Like the way you make music or like the type of music that you look? Because like there's a time where, and I would expect, because I've never been in a band, I'll say. So one, I started off playing viola orchestral. So like I appreciate the group setting. Thank you for all my string heads. You know what I'm saying? Got him. Like, and you would look at me like viola, but yes, I play the viola. I was first chair for many years. You know what I'm saying? Rocked it.
Speak on that.
Until they took out the arts program in my high school, and then it was kind of over. I wasn't going out and buying a $700 viola, not because I didn't want to. Did not have $700. So I appreciate the dynamic of like playing in a group and how much more difficult that is, and how it helped me to understand music on a much deeper level than just learning an instrument. Because I think when you learn in a group setting, and I don't know if you guys like learn together, but obviously you guys learn songs, you guys are around each other. But at least for me, like I semi kind of learned other instruments while I was in orchestra because I played the viola. Because we all learn together. So, like, when she's teaching the cellos, I'm listening, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing what they got to go through. Now, if I gave me a cello, I could probably play it. I wouldn't be as good as somebody who practices every day, but I would know what I'm doing. Because I was sitting in the room when everybody else was getting taught. So I could play a violin. I could play basically every string instrument, you know what I mean, that they have. Do you guys feel that in a band setting, you know what I mean, where if somebody was to like, let's say, well, nah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't pick up a violin if somebody didn't show up that day. It's not happening. We just gonna not have a violin. Not to play like a gig. Like I could probably play a violin, but like, you know what I mean? Not enough where I could pick up one and play a show. But I guess my question was, right, as far as like just playing in a group and playing as a band, do you guys feel like that push from outside of like, we can take all this time to create this and it could be wonderful to us, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to translate? Do you think that does that have an effect on your music, or do you guys try to just kind of create and then the marketplace be damned?
I feel like it's a balance between the two.
Yeah.
I know, at least for me personally, like I feel like as long as you stay true to what you're trying to convey musically, it's going to reach the people it's supposed to reach.
Right.
So my concern is not necessarily like trying to reach like, you know, like all the mainstream folk. Like if they don't listen to our music, that's cool. You know, I would rather have people that genuinely, you know, love our music and love the messages behind the music and rock with that, than have people that, you know, just like, you know us and are just happen to be just streaming our music, you know, like I feel like it's a lot better to have more genuine followers of your music.
And look, say that again for the retards in the back. Look, I 100% believe, and my daughter keeps telling me I cannot say that no more, and I'm gonna stop one of these days, but it's not today. Like every time I say it, I just hear my daughter, Dad. But I mean, I digress. I feel like I 100% stand behind what you're saying, and I think it's important to have intention behind what you do, because there's really only two ways you can go through life. You either are doing it intentional or you're non-intentional, right? Like this is really it. So if you don't have an intention on what you're trying to do and what kind of music you're trying to produce, you're just going to be swayed by the marketplace. So I like that question because it kind of lets me see where your mind is. Because a lot of times I feel like artists, especially newer artists that are coming into the game, they're looking for somebody to tell them who they should be. And I can usually tell that when you come in, you sit down with a session with me and you're like, well, what's that sound like? You think that sound good? Does it sound good? And I don't mind you asking me as a producer, as somebody who's been in the game, like what my thoughts are on this, but does it sound good? I don't know. What sounds good to you? This is your song. And if it doesn't sound good to you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I think it sounds good. This is your song. Because I could tell you it sounds good all day and pump your head up, and then you're going to go get in your car, you're going to slap this on your speakers, you'll be like, I don't like this. And then you're going to get mad at me.
I was just going to say that also comes with the trust that we have with each other. We know each other's skills. We also know each other's ear. Yeah. And what we like and what we don't like. And we kind of build off of that, you know. So, and plus at the same time, with that trust, we bring that to our sanctuary, room 223, and we just let it blossom authentically, organically, whatever way it should. Yeah, it's the studio. And we just let it flow. You know, whatever we feeling that day, whatever emotions or whatever, like we let it flow. And it's that trust plus knowing that authentically it's just us being our purest selves. It's like, who cares if the masses like it? Like, we doing it for the love of the art, for the culture at first, and then, what comes from that comes from that.
No, straight up.
And we experienced the, high expectations of like, we're gonna be here, we're gonna have a crowd or whatever the hell, and then like the crowd doesn't show, and it's like, the fuck. But then it's like we're still gonna show up, and do what we need to do. And then it's also like he said, it's like the trust, you know what I mean? Because it's like us individually came into the group, in different ways. And so like for me, I came into group, I wasn't playing bass. Like I played bass,
right?
But I wasn't playing bass, you know what I mean? And so like, coming into group, coming into group, just like even just like playing keys. I came into church, so like coming from the church, you're not like learning a lot of chord names, progression. You're just learning 2-5-1, 3-6-2-5. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So when I came down, sat with Joey and Miles, you know what I mean? It was just like intimidating because it's like, damn, like these cats are,
because they live in a whole different world. Than you've even been exposed
whole different world, right?
Like,
and so then once it got to me on bass, it's like I started learning bass notes. And then, Joey's calling notes, and I'm like, okay, fuck, like I gotta learn this shit. You know what I mean? And then I learned it, but these motherfuckers trusted me.
Right.
And like every time they trusted me, it gave me confidence to show my ass. And then like I showed my ass, and I like always, every time, like I'm always like killing it. You know what I mean? And it's just because they trusted me in a way.
Into an area
right
that was outside your comfort zone.
Right. Yeah.
Hey man, I'm glad you said that, bro, because I feel like that's for me personally, and I feel like that's all of us, but me personally, like, it makes it so much easier because I'm a fan of all these guys individually.
Right.
Not even like of the group Cosmic Roots, like it's always going to be Cosmic Roots, but like Keenan individually, like Miles individually, Alex individually, Joey individually are all so dope as a musician. And just like as a human being, and like just being around that excellence, whether it's like on a weekly basis or whenever we see each other, but like just being around that period makes you want to be better. It inspires you,
right?
Especially me as a drummer.
You're competitive, not to beat each other, but to stay up on each other's level. Like I don't want to fall behind because I know my brothers is grinding. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because
just to add to that real quick, just to add to what y'all saying, I would not have dropped the EP that dropped this year if it wasn't for the homies dropping projects and putting themselves out there.
And making you feel like, bro, I ain't shit.
Man, actually the opposite. You know what I mean? If I'm around these cats, if I'm around legends, then I gotta do some legendary shit. Yeah,
and they still getting it done. You know what I mean?
If I'm around legends, then I gotta do legendary shit. You know,
straight up.
So it's an inspiration to like, okay, step your shit up because you can do it. Like you said, you can do the bass. Like, and we gonna be here to support that shit. You know.
Right. And then, like,
100%.
when he dropped that shit, it was like he's asking questions. We put him on to the people to like mix and master that shit.
Yeah.
It was nothing. Like, matter of fact, he just put it on Spotify and Apple Music not too long, like a month ago or something like that. So, I mean,
that's dope. That's dope. Congratulations.
Go stream that right now.
Hey, stream it. Blow it up. You know what I'm saying? That way more people come to the podcast. They're going to be like, hey, bro, go to the podcast. They're going to blow you up. We blowing up out here.
Projects, which is beautiful because, not a lot of bands that's early coming up have their individual project. And it's not even on some, like, cocky shit like, oh, we're going to go single. It's just on some shit like, hey, this is what we sound like. This is our type of vibe. And then this is what inspires it to the group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because how I always look at things, I look at things like, what's called soul Aquarians. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The stories they talk about, of being in the same studio, just going door to door.
Right.
Pulling up at JD's house, you know what I'm saying? There's hell of them. And it's like all these different people in their own different...
It's
like, because they were a group.
Yeah.
In some type of way, if you think about it.
I feel like the Soul Crayons to me is more like a collective than it is a group. Because it was a lot of interchanging. It was in, it was out. And not so much in and out, but like it was a loose affiliation of like we all are kind of on the same thing as far as what we want to accomplish with our music. We might be in different genres, do it a different way, but like that underlying, like, this is why I'm in the industry is kind of all core for us. We want to do something that is uplifting, powerful, whatever you want to call it, but like that core of them was a part of the mission. That's what brought them all together. There nothing else outside of that except for we want to keep this mission going. Because I feel like in the Soul Queer's case, like there was more than just artists that were a part of that. You know what I mean? And trying to push that. There was producers, there was label people. Like there was all kinds of people that participated in making sure that whatever they did got out and was successful.
Right. And that
takes a village.
Yeah, it takes a village. It's just like, you know, individually, you know, that's what Cosmic Roots. I mean, if you even look at our records, go all the way to the bottom, it's going to say Cosmic Roots Collective.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? We are a collective, you know.
Right.
You know, shout out to the people that help us on, you know, our mastering, Kiki, you know what I mean? You know, shout out to Jay on the Instagrams and all that, you know. And the places, the venues that let us come to there and, you know, do
and
the
gig,
music, you know what I mean?
You got to start somewhere. So it's, I appreciate the venues that are open and
San Jose, we love you.
Artists, to come out and do their thing. I come from, like I said, I did orchestra, so I've been in a group setting. I come from a family of 5 brothers, 5 sisters, and a lot of, like, it made me not want to have a big family. Like I was like, I need my own space, but I do value like what it taught me, which was like how to get along with damn near any. I mean, 10 people in a house is a lot of different personalities. You know what I mean? And they're all your family, so it's not like you're like, I don't want to talk to you ever again. Like you gotta kind of deal with it. So it taught me how to deal with a lot of different personalities and kind of like figure out where I fit in. And then I learned a lot of different things from different people without having to go through it. You know what I mean? Like if I got 10 people to watch, I can definitely figure out what I should and shouldn't say, or should and shouldn't do. So oh man, my we went down. Let me see. You got that to me. I don't know why we went down today. No, you all good. I kind of figured that was gonna happen. We were loosely together, but it's all right. He still can't breathe. But it just taught me how to get along with a lot of different people. And it taught me how to like look at other different people. I wouldn't say I was really competitive with my brothers and sisters, but I definitely can see that in a band setting where you guys are, you know what I mean? Like, and like I said, like not competitive to be like, oh, I want to be better than you, but like I see how hard everybody is working within this collective, and I don't want to be a weak link
100%
in the collective. You know
that
what
healthy
I mean?
competition. Because even if you look at like, man, yeah, look at like any sector of people that's doing something on a grand scale, or even like someone that you look up to that you're like, oh, that's amazing. NBA. Like they all have guys around them that they know are amazing.
Right.
And it's not like, oh, I gotta be better than this dude, or I gotta be, Keenan played this last week at the show, so I gotta try to one up. It's like
I need my time for the shine.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I'm around some real deal, like living legends. Like,
yeah,
I feel like, especially in like just society now, we give people their flowers when they're gone, or when something happens, or it's like, oh, I remember that dude. He made such an impact on. But it's like to be able to acknowledge this right now in the fact that like in what they do individually and what we do is like looking up to these guys is like every day that I wake up, I'm like, I have to be better than I was yesterday because I know they're going to be better than they were just yesterday, the day before, the last gig. It's like we're always on a constant process of elevation. And for me personally, it's like, bro, who am I to wake up and be mediocre when these guys are bringing their best? Like, we all going to work. We all dealing with family stuff. Life has been life. Like, since the pandemic on, like, life has not been stopping. And everybody, we looking around right now. But it's like, to be able to come past that, get through the pandemic and not having shows, and as a musician, I feel like that's one thing that really fuels your fire. Like going out to a show, and like Keenan said, whether you're expecting it to be a large crowd or a small crowd, or you just have a couple people, or you packed out the whole house. We've been on the spectrum of from the bottom to the top in regards to people coming out and seeing us. But it's like when you go through that period of not having people in the crowd that's cheering and clapping and appreciating the work that you put into it. And it's like, you really get, well, for me personally, I'm more of an introvert. I don't really like being around a lot of people, but it's like, when
it's draining.
Yeah, but when like we go through rehearsals and you're tired and you're going through everything, at the end of the week or the end of wherever, and you're getting on the stage to prepare to do the gig, or I'm putting the sticks in my hand, or we dapping each other up before the show, is like, all the work that we put in, this is why that was for.
This is the culmination.
And when we're all sweating at the end of the night, and we're all, bro, good job, and it's like the crowd is standing ovation and crazy, and it's like that fuels your musician's heart to like, bro, this is like really what we do.
That's filling back up the tank.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
So not having that, and then being able to traverse through that, keep building, and then come out even stronger.
Right.
Amazing.
Right. It's just, building good musicianship overall. You know what I mean? Being a team member, you know what I'm saying? Like us, that the expectations, like you got to kind of lower your expectations, as a musician, because everybody think they're going to make it, you know what I mean?
Or it's going to be like mad instant.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I'm gonna do 2 shows, or maybe it's gonna be a couple weeks of the grind, but people gonna hear my music and they're gonna know. You know what I'm saying?
Dude.
And I feel like that's the main cause of people's like issues and gripes in the music industry, is just a lack of reasonable and realistic expectations. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there are always going to be exceptions. They're going to be the people who drop one song or just drop an Instagram or drop a TikTok and they blow
Stay off Instagram.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen, yes. But that is not the majority of people. And yes, you could go and pick up lottery tickets all day, but that don't guarantee you going to win. Right. So a lot of people are banking on that lottery ticket play. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's just not a reasonable way to go about life and expect the result. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can understand you hoping for it, but you can't expect it and then be mad that it's not coming, because you're gambling on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going on trying to be the 1 percentile that got through on a hope and a prayer, and then you're mad it's not happening.
It's a marathon. Just to add to that too, I feel like, perspective is like, it's really so important, especially like you said in what we're doing, because I mean, when you realize, in my opinion, how I feel about it, I've been playing the saxophone since 3rd grade, so over 20-something years. I made it the minute I grabbed my horn. You know what I mean? Like, I made it the minute I showed up to the studio with the homies. So like, the blessing to even be able to move my fingers to hear music, to hear at all, and then to be able to respond music. I mean, there's like so many things that you can break down that it's like, I get to do this. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, okay, I get a little change here and there. That's cool. But man, to be able to do that, like, we already made it. And so then now it's just a spectrum of like how much more of making it can you get?
Right.
And that's where I think the mechanics come in of like, okay, what are the numbers? What's the marketing? What's our finances looking like? What is the mechanical stuff
now we can hone in.
Us, right? Yeah. The trajectory to make sure the music is there, the mentality is there, the empathy and awareness of knowing like, I'm not the only one going through shit, or I'm not the only one who has a life. Like, other people got stuff going on too. Like, so let me make sure that I'm aware that, if I'm a effective player on the field, let's say if it's football, like, I don't just know where I'm supposed to be at. I'm supposed to know where the homie's supposed to be at, the safety, the cornerback. So if I know where everybody's at and I know where I'm at, it's you get a holistic understanding of like, this is how we're moving as a group. Because I mean, it's 5 of us here, but really it's 6. Because the 6th man is the group entity itself. You know what I mean? I feel like when we consistently look into that, like, what is that for us, and then move off that.
So you feel like Cosmic Roots as an entity has its own form and its own voice and own idea. I think that's dope. I think that's dope. Definitely. Like, I'm a big, how do I explain this? Like, I believe words have power, and I believe like your everything is a process, right? And if you skip steps, you're gonna fuck up, right? So like, a lot of people want to be like, I'm just gonna wake up and be different, but they don't change their mentality, right? They just think different actions are gonna come out, and you can act different, but you're not gonna be different. Like, being different starts in your mind. I have to think differently. I got to think about myself differently. I got to think about things differently, and then once I get that mind state down, it's gonna turn into action. Like it's gonna come out of my body because that's the only thing I'm thinking about. Like your actions are originated from your thoughts, right? And then to me, like words assign assignment and purpose to things, right? Like if I say chair, right? You don't just think of the ocean, you think of a chair. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's defining a purpose and a meaning to things. Like once I name it, that confines it. If it doesn't have a name, it's just a thing. You know what I mean? So like a word, and how you define something is what gives it its purpose and its limitations. So when you guys say like Cosmic Roots is its own entity, like because you guys treat it as so, it is. You know what I mean? And the more you have intention of this is a thing that lives outside of us that has its own will that we all conjured together. You know what I'm saying? Like that's biblical. Like that's some spiritual level creation. You know what I mean? Because to me there's like creation, right? That's a level of creating, which God just kind of was talking, right? And then when it came to creating creators, that was a higher level of thinking, so he communicated and collaborated, right? Let us make man in our image. So like to me, when people like can come together as a group and a collective and decide on, hey, this is the image of the thing that we want to create and we want to put it out in the world and you guys can do that. That shit's powerful to me. Yeah, like it becomes its own living, breathing entity that lives outside of you guys, you know what I'm saying? And lives within the spirit of the music and the movement behind it. I think that's deep. It's dope. How would you say, or can we talk on like 9 to 5s? Like how do you feel about 9 to 5s? How you feel about working? And if you are working, is there like, do you have a plan? Right. Nah, I already know, right?
Man,
We got a song for you.
Like, if you work a 9 to 5, is it like a plan where you're like, okay, at a certain, like, is there a jump off point? You know what I mean? Like, have you thought about that, or is it just like we'll know when it comes?
yeah, the plan is to not do 9 to 5
It's like,
and
nah,
music for the rest of my,
right.
because like I don't know, all my life, and I'm not gonna lie, that's a personal, like super personal question you asked me, because all my life I was told like I'm supposed to do it this way and do it that way,
Right.
which is fine. Like shout out to my folks for make sure I'm straight, make sure I have a goal, have a plan in mind, all that stuff. But
It might not be the right plan, but they gave you a plan.
right, exactly. So I just finally, conjured up the gumption to just be like, well, this is how I'm gonna do things, and music's gonna be a part of it no matter what.
Right.
Now, in the grand scheme, of course, I have to make sure I pay bills, make sure I'm taking care of myself. So yeah, I have to work. I have to, take advantage of the degree that I work for, and like take care of myself. But at the same time, the plan will always be music, full time,
Right.
all day, every day. If
Yeah.
my dream, my goal is to make music every single day if I really could possibly do so.
Right.
So and I would say 9 to 5 is a huge part of the plan. It's the hustle, it's the grind. Like that's what's helping me come out here to for the podcast, for rehearsals, for shows,
Right.
for things like that. That's what's helped me do everyday things to make sure that my dream and my goal is able to be accomplished, able to
Right.
be, checked off. So shout out to the 9 to 5. I'm not trying to just, shit on 9 to 5s,
Right.
but I'm just saying like that is a temporary plan.
Right.
Very temporary.
Man, just to add to that, bro, I feel that, man, and just to add to that for you personally, because you're doing a lot of work to commute to even get out here to Sacramento. So like he's saying, the work
Shout outs to the commuters.
outside of music, to do the damn thing with the hustle with the job, and then still come out here and pour in.
Right.
That's big business. So shout out to homie. For me, man, I've probably worked
No
as
excuses,
many
gang.
Yeah, that part, yeah, no, straight up. I worked like 20-something jobs, bro, to be honest, like retail, sales, Jamba Juice, Kohl's, Champs, all that shit, right? But now I remember it was one job, I think it was at Safeway, 4 a.m, just chopping vegetables, right? And I was like, man, I'm spending so much time here
Right.
that I'm not investing. So I said, I made a promise to myself in that moment. However many hours I'm working here, I'm matching that at the studio.
Right.
And I committed to that. Like I was on. If I'm 4 or 5
Yeah, I
hours here, I'm
tried
4 or
that
5
shit.
hours at the studio.
It did
No
not
excuses.
work.
I don't give a fuck. So I was on that for a minute, and then slowly, eventually started getting to the point where okay, now I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
Doing work here, and then teaching private lessons over here, teaching over here, and doing gigs here. And now, there came a point. I think it was like last year at some point where I just burned the fucking boats. And just said I'm done with those jobs. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to
Full-time
do music. Yeah.
right.
So now it's teaching at multiple schools, giving private lessons, and then gigging with the homies and stuff. And so now it's just different now because the mentality is different. But also, like you said, it was having to put in that grind to be able to pivot. But having that game plan and knowing when it's time, to pivot. So
I think results help too because you were doing some side
right
Johns at
and
the
that
same
was
time.
helping, right? And that started,
So you're seeing the results and some
Right.
evidence over here, but like
Right.
I don't know because I got
Right.
some safety over here.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's like until you can make that decision that I'm really gonna go full head 100% steam.
All right. Yeah, man. Yeah, I can relate, dude. I've been playing music all my life, but when I started working, I've been a barber for about like 6.5 years now, and only worked 2 regular jobs.
Chemo cuts.
Yeah,
Let's go see.
But even being a barber, I only became a barber just to supply my musical funds.
Right. It's all in support of the vision.
Right, in support of the vision, and also to have time because I never liked clocking in, clocking out, reporting to somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now that I have got older, it's $80,000 and $13 to live in California comfortably. I have,
specific.
I looked it up.
Speak on it.
Niggas got goals. I looked it up.
He said for the average family of
For
2.5
average
kids.
family, comfortably. That's comfortably. And I thought I was living comfortably. Now, no, that's 66,000 to be okay. But shit. But not like now. Now I'm older. Got a son, a wife, and shit. Prices are high. Like I gotta work 3 jobs. You know what I mean? Barbering
Right.
is not enough. I gotta do the airport at 4 a.m. to 12:30. 30 minutes a nap, come to the shop, knock out like 6-7 hours there, maybe have a gig or rehearsal. So, everything is crammed in for me, right?
Right.
And so when it comes to family and music, especially in music, it's really time. Like, hey, I got to do this. Whatever Cosmic is doing, I got to work on that. Whatever Keenan has going on for Keenan Jackson Music, I have to do that. It's no bullshit time.
Right.
So, just by like, cause I hated that. Even like, cause I just started working a job for 2 weeks now, and like just telling myself like I have to do crunch time, like that's just not cool. So it's like, yeah, I fuck with it, but I don't fuck with it because I wish I had the time to just, cut hair when I want and then do music, you know what I'm saying? And then be able to get paid off the
Right.
musical income. But, or just not even that because like right now, cause my wife is like, oh, what if, Cosmic doesn't make it or you don't make it? What is the backup plan for music to make money off of it? And I'm like, shit, what is the backup plan? So I was like, I do audio engineering already, so like, why not get the certification and you know what I mean? So I have to figure out a plan for me. How is it gonna always be music if I'm not playing on stage or on tour? Or
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean? Like I have to
Exactly.
finesse,
Yeah.
and figure it out.
I think that's important too.
Right.
Like understanding, like I was saying, intention and vision. Like I feel like you have to continuously keep looking at and refining and defining what that vision is so that you can properly plan your life now on how I can execute that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like when I was in the 8th grade and I took my first radio class, I wanted to be Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? Like my vision has evolved since then.
Yeah,
You know
and
what
I
mean?
definitely feel like every musician should definitely have something else you can do. Like if you can play keys, learn how to produce. Like learn how to record yourself and make a song. You know what I mean? Like if you already know how to do that, learn how to mix.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just so if anything comes up, or if you are in a group, You know, because before this, I was already producing since I was 14 and mixing. So when I got with them, I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do Logic, you know, record track. So that was nothing for me. So I feel like, you know, just have something backup musical that you can do, you know, instead of just playing.
Well, I feel like it's two schools of thought on that in my mind, right? Like, I have people who come in and they do a session, and I always ask them very succinctly, like, okay, what are you trying to do? Like, do you want to make music to make money? Do you want to make music because you like it? Are you trying to be the best rapper? Do you want to just be an artist? Like, there's a lot of different. You could come in and record and be starting on your journey and be a lot of different things. But what you want to be is going to require you to do certain things, right? Like, I treat everything like it's gardening. Like, if I want to grow a strawberry, you know what I mean? Like, I can't go get a fucking pumpkin seed. You know what I mean? But that's how people treat life. Is like, I don't. Number one, I don't know what I want to grow, and then I don't know where I want to grow it. But I want some good stuff to happen. Like, that's weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even know what good. Define what good is.
Bro, I like that you mentioned gardening though, man, because you know, like you said, with intention and vision. For me, I've been planting the seed every day of like everybody here is gonna be good, you know, and their families are good, right? Not just like, cool, we had a good gig, we had a lot of likes on. Fuck all that. Like the homie over here, your family is good. You know, like what does that look like for us to be able to like operate and express authentically and something that's sustainable that's also gonna allow everybody here to be cool to where it's not like, damn, bro, like I had to do this shit so that I can So, you know, so it's like, but you can't make anything manifest if, like you said, if you aren't looking at it. Like, if you can't just accidentally make sure everybody good, right? You can't just accidentally make sure that your family's taken. So, like, you have to be very intentional about seeing that, watering that, looking at it, and then also analyzing self about, like, what parts of myself is not in alignment with that.
In alignment with that vision,
Can I be honest enough to remove that from myself and say, like, you know what? I've been inconsistent with this thing, but this is the very thing that's actually going to help myself and my team move forward. You know what? Let me step my game up on that.
Correct.
To me, I feel like that's the kind of ebb and flow of it. But I mean, to me, I think it's always important to diversify for sure, especially now, like you said, prices is crazy. So you gotta be able to pivot, but also not losing like focus on what that thing is. Like if I have to move over here or like even change rooms or go, that's all right. But I'm gonna still keep like my eyes on the prize. You know
knowing
what
the overall like.
Where
I feel like you should be able to adjust. Like, hey, cool, I need to go. This didn't work out. I gotta hit it here. This didn't go out. I gotta go here. Because ultimately, really, I'm just trying to get here. So anything that's a vehicle that's gonna get me here, I'm good with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No matter what people might say about it, you know what I mean? It's gonna get me here, so I'm straight. Go ahead.
No, and like you were saying, bro, all of that really helps like drive you as a musician, and especially living in Cali. Is this thing on me? We live in California. We are fighting for our lives, my brother. Listen, we are
need $100 to step out the door
for our lives. And so, so when it's like you're not just thinking about you. Like Miles said, I'm thinking about I'm originally from South Carolina, so like you said, I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about the little kids that's coming up, that's looking up to what we're doing. Like it's not just about me. Like it's bigger than me. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than the music. Like we're really doing this to leave a mark, and at the same time, really have our legacy show the hard work and dedication, and just the love for music that we all foster and been putting into this since we picked up an instrument, since we even fell in love with music.
And I don't. So I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I know for me, in our community, as far as like Black men, whether you have kids or don't have kids, I feel like a lot of the men that are striving to do something, like either for the community, for themselves, trying to prosper, it's not really for themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's usually like
100%.
They have a very much deeper reason. Like, I want to either show where I came from that is possible. I got a family unit that I got to make sure, and I want to make sure is taken care of. And I think that goes to like that biblical stance of like priest, provider, protector. Like it's almost like ingrained in us that prosperity, we need to be prosperous, not for ourselves, but prosperity means that I can take care of the people around me. Like I have enough to be able to, because I remember for myself, right? Like, and I say it, I think I was having a conversation with my brother and I was like, bro, I wish I was rich enough where we didn't have that problem. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, I'm still trying to continue to get to that day where it's like, I want us to, like, there are certain problems you can solve with money. You know what I mean? Like, not all problems. I'm not saying everything, but there are definitely problems that I can solve with money. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I just want to have enough money to where I don't have to worry about those problems. That way I could put all my attention into the problems that don't require money. Like spending time with my kids. But again, spending time with my kids can be solved by money, right? If I got enough money, I don't got to go to work. Now I can just spend more time with my children. So it's like, it's not the most important thing, but it is when you don't got it. Like it's very important because it compounds every other problem because that's the way that our reality works. So like for me, when I see Black male individuals and we take on this responsibility of the world as far as why we want to be successful, I like it on one hand, and then on the other hand, it's just like I feel like that's also the reason for a lot of like mental health and depression and anxiety because we're putting a lot of, rightfully or wrongly, we put a lot of stress on ourselves and a lot of on our shoulders, but then it's a real thankless job. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, let's say we're growing a plant, right? And I put a seed in the ground. For a long majority of me planting and watering, nothing's gonna happen. Like, it's just gonna be dirt. So if somebody just walked past and saw me, then what the is this nigga doing? You know what I mean? He's just playing with the dirt. But eventually, there's gonna be some growth. Not a lot. It ain't gonna do nothing for me, but it's gonna show a little bit. You know what I mean? And then it'll grow into something. It's gonna take some time before I can reap from that plant. And a lot of people don't want to wait along for that ride. You know what I mean? Where it's nothing, and then maybe it's a little something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They are gladly come by and be like, ugh, what you doing with that little something?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like trying to find people who appreciate that journey because it's our job to plant it, protect it, nurture it, do all the nine, right? And it's like, we have this responsibility to have and to do for all these other people, but it's not a lot of like reciprocation on the other side from either the female counterparts, families who want us to do it a certain way. Like a lot of times in our community, it's like from the other side, we think we know what's best for each other, and then we hold that standpoint, but we don't allow room for each other to be who we are. So it's like, you know what I mean? On every standpoint, friends, family, your spouse, who the gives a about me?
Yeah.
And the things that I'm trying to feed into that aren't even for me. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm going to be prosperous and I'm going to use it for me, but I'm really doing this to help all y'all. That's what's on my mind. You know what I mean? So it's like trying to live and navigate that space. That's something you guys have dealt with.
Yeah, definitely. And like just to kind of circle back on the 9-to-5 thing, because a lot of it took a lot of understanding from my folks' standpoint of why,
right,
they said, and it's kind of what you said. It's because they know what is expected from a Black man in this world.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do 5 times more than what others do in order to get half of what they got.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They know how to grow a sunflower. It may not be as pretty as an orchid. It may not get you as much money as an orchid, but I can guarantee you there's how to grow this. You know what I mean? Like, right. So they know a specific way to be able to get through. This is how I got through it. I the same with my father-in-law. We go back and forth all the time.
Yeah, but like it's through that back and forth, it's really just believing. It's really just having that faith within yourself to just keep it going no matter what others got to say or what even happens. And no matter what happens in the past and the other folks too, that may or may not happen to you. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's situational. That's what happened in your life, bro.
Exactly. So it's believing in each other, believing in ourselves.
Yeah.
Like nothing's gonna stop. I already in my head, we're doing a world tour. It's just a matter of when.
When. Right.
Say, like even about the tour, especially like with with spouses, it just my wife, she'd never been with a musician or don't even know what a musician's life is like. So when I say it's like, it's gonna do on tour, she's like, oh, what the 3 months.
Right.
4 months. You
And they're
know
like,
what I
that's
mean?
crazy.
Right, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
I'm
And
not
you're
gonna
not
see
gonna
you
be
for 3
home,
months.
and it's
You're like,
like,
well, I could go to the military and be gone for a year.
right. And then it's like,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
it's like, but I'm doing this for you.
Right.
I'm doing this for y'all.
Right.
Because then I'm gone for 3 months. Then daddy's home for about 4.
Right.
And I don't gotta work.
Yeah.
And we good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so we all chilling.
So that vision is important, I think,
Right.
for like you to have specifically like in a relationship, because if I'm kind of wishy-washy on the vision, I'm definitely not going to be able to get my girl to buy into it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And that's
then,
the
like,
thing.
if she's not bought into it, she's going to have an issue
Right.
with damn near everything that I'm doing that's
Right.
in conjunction with that.
Right.
And
And
she don't
there's
believe in it.
and there's been times where like I had to literally sit down and show her like videos, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is like the process of
This is what we got to go through. This is how
looks
long
like
it
on
takes.
stage.
This is
You
why
know
I
what
say I'm going to
mean?
be gone for an hour,
Right,
end up 3 hours.
right.
Like,
especially
yes.
studio sessions. Studio
Exactly.
sessions. Oh man, we used to butt heads because I used to be in studio for hours.
Right.
Especially late night. You know, I come in studio by like 8 o'clock, on leave by 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, straight up.
And he's like,
Because the session's
nigga,
supposed to start at 8. They don't get there till 9:30.
right.
And then they
and
want to
we don't lock in. We don't lock
Right,
into
you
like
know.
we don't lock into about 11.
Hey, man.
You know,
gonna,
we not in
gonna
there.
go ahead and start
feeling
this clock
good.
at 12,
You know what I'm
bruh.
saying? And so it's like, you know, I had to tell her and then show her like this is what the song
Right.
sound like, you know? And then, you know, she'll see the work ethic with Cosmic
Yeah.
and da-da-da. And then she's like, man, you guys sound so good. So,
Yeah.
you know.
I've been
Yeah.
married for, let me see, I'm not going to mess it up. Over a decade. Over a decade.
Congratulations.
Right? For most of my adult life. And I've been trying to be a musician. Well, I won't say a musician. I've been a musician. But I've been trying to, like, do music for a really long time. I went through my phases. And it was I definitely can say it was a difficult and a strain on my relationship for a majority of it. Just because I loved music and I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm a kind of an asshole. So, like, if I like something, I like something. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. That's just how I am. You can take it or leave it. But I've always, from a very young age, knew, like, you got to know who you are. Because the world, you got to know who you are or the world is going to tell you who you are. Right? Like, because, again, like, everything in my mind is kind of like dichotomies. It's either or. So either I was going to figure out who I was and believe in that, or I was going to let the world tell me who I was. So I knew, and I kind of solidified into what I wanted to do, and music was a big part of that. And I had my first child when I was 19, ended up going into the military. So it was a lot, like, pulling every different which direction, and just trying to keep that kind of, like, I'm going, like, no matter, I did my first album when I was in Iraq, like, on a little MacBook, like, I feel like just having that kind of, like, internal drive, like, it doesn't matter what I have. It doesn't matter what my situation is. It doesn't matter how good people think I am. I'm just going to keep trying to do this. You know what I mean? Because I know back then I was like, no, I'm going to be successful. Now that I'm older and I'm a little bit more wiser, to me, it's not about being successful. It's just about the art of keep trying, right? Because I feel like if one, I'm less apt to quit and get upset at my results if I'm not thinking about just being successful. I'm more about what did we learn? What steps did we take? You know what I mean? Like, I can now appreciate the journey more than just trying to get to the destination.
And that's the main thing about today's world, especially being an artist. Just make it.
Right.
It's like you can't even grow and appreciate the journey. You know, that's why I said earlier off Instagram, because for me as being an artist, Instagram was the hardest thing for me. You know, it's just like sitting here and seeing people I know, or just like places I want to be, or how I want to sound. I'll start comparing.
You watching everybody living the best portions
right,
of their life.
and I couldn't focus on me.
Right.
I couldn't focus on how I
That's
want
trick
to
of the devil,
sound.
though. That's the Instagram
Right.
might as well be called Satan.
And that's
They
what I'm
want you to
saying.
think about everything that you
Everything
don't
else.
got instead of
But
appreciating
and then
what you
it's
got.
the thing is, and there'll be times where I'm sitting here watching dudes on the bass.
Don't
killing,
ban me Instagram.
and I'm like, oh, I want to sound like that. But it's like, then get the fuck off your phone and go practice.
Go do something.
Right.
Go
and so
do
it's like,
something.
I have to check myself. It's like, you know what? Fuck Instagram. I deleted that shit. I only go on there on weekends and post like promotions or something for the group or whatever. But
it's useful for what it's useful for.
And so it's like, once I stopped doing that, bro, and I started focusing actually on the craft, like I was actually able to go back in the studio and be like, this is Keenan. This is what I'm going to sound like regardless whoever's going to tell me whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we can get so caught up on social media and
trying to chase the numbers.
Chase the numbers. Chase the numbers, the sound. Yeah. Chase the look. Oh, because this person did this. It's like, nah, bro. So it's like, we got to be cosmic at the end of the day.
So people want this. Yeah, no. And
right. Yeah. We got to be cosmic at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
And I think but that's what's going to bring, as you were saying, and I really love that's going to bring the genuine, diehard, true fans because they're going to appreciate that you didn't deviate, right? Like that you were able to stay the course. And any book you read on marketing, sales, management, anything, they'll say you niche down. Because if you can get the niche, you're going to get the ancillary. Spillover is going to happen, right? So, but if you're focusing on spillover, you don't have the main core product. So if you niche down and you can serve a very specific population exactly what they want, they're going to love you and be diehard for you. And you're going to be able to live just off of that. And then you're going to have your ancillary, right? So I just think that's important.
And I think it's also good to have examples of people that are true to themselves and also make it, because then that lets you know that, oh, I don't have to feel like I have to sell out or try to appeal to what the masses want. I can just do what I've been hearing in my head that sounds good to me, because it has to sound good to you before it sounds good to people. You have to believe in what you're putting out there. If you don't believe in it, the listeners are not going to believe in it either.
If you don't believe in it, you're not going to put it out. That's where the rubber hits the road. You know what I mean? If you don't believe in it, then you're not going to put it out. And then it doesn't matter if people because they're never going to hear it.
Exactly.
So you got to have that kind of internal. That's why when we were talking kind of outside, we were talking about education versus instinct, and it doesn't really matter how much education you have if you don't have that instinctual side, because the education just helps you to get to what you're looking for. Right. So if you don't have that looking for, then you just you're out here in this sea of information, but you don't have a realistic way to navigate it in a way that other people like, right? Because some other people don't even need all of that stuff, and they can still navigate that sea, even though may not be able to tell you, oh, I'm swimming 16 knots, but they can navigate the sea very well. So to me, it's like education really just helps you to navigate and get to that thought a little bit faster, but you still need that instinctual understanding of the music, where I'm trying to go, what I'm trying to express, the feeling that I'm trying to put across.
And great point, because for me growing up, I've been playing drums. Well, I started playing drums when I was 2 in the church in South Carolina, just backwoods.
We all start with Jesus.
Yeah, listen, playing on whatever I could, grandma little pots and pans. So it's like going from that to coming out to California and trying to live in your purpose. It really has to come to a point for you where you are kind of stubborn about this thing as a musician, because all the trials and tribulations you go through, whether you're second guessing what you're thinking in your head or you're not thinking something you're putting out is good enough. It's like you have to keep going if you really want what you're saying that you like, what you're saying you really want.
Right.
Because man, it's like life happens, everything happens. It's like us individually and as a group, we all deal with things, but it's like as a musician and someone that's trying to take this thing to new heights, whether that's better than where we were yesterday or better than our first show or our first song or whatever, it's like, bro, you have to understand it's not ever going to be a stopping point. And especially with Joey said, looking up to the examples of people that are truly themselves. It's like looking at Ron Isley and all the guys is 70, 60 years old, and they're still on stage and selling out arenas, it's like, man, me in my late 20s, it's like, bro, I have so much further to go. It's like we're just getting started in the music journey, even though we've been doing this for so long. And it's like you have those guys to look up to, and it's like they've been themselves. They've been putting out what they've been trusting. They've kept the circle of people around them that they've been supportive of, and that has been supporting them. it's like finding this brotherhood right here is the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
And that's just to add to that, bro. That's beautiful, man. Because yeah, just even when you were talking about just the other artists and just the different like trials and tribulations that happen, I really feel like it's like a class. Like once you decide that you want to be somewhere, you want to be somebody or go to a place, and I feel like you've just enrolled in a class that's now going to develop you, the person, to be able to receive whatever that thing is.
Right.
And so the inevitable struggles that come are deliberate to like forge you to be ready to actually embody whatever that blessing is that's coming. And so I feel like for me, especially with all the different stuff that we've been through, somebody mentioned something the other day that stuck with me. They said, do it for the force behind the thing. So like not just the thing, but like what's the force behind
what's
it?
The impact?
What's the impact behind it? What's the entity behind it? The spirit behind it? That even created that thing that you're pursuing,
Right.
And that for me allowed me to not white knuckle the journey as much and to kind of, just relax.
Right. Kind of.
You know what I mean? Like not like I gotta force my will into the just, really see where you're trying to go and just continue to pivot and be graceful with yourself too. Cause like, man,
because you're
to
a
that
human.
point, to that point about the Instagram, like I'm off of that right now. Just for me to get back to that centering of like, I started doing
staying
this in
focused.
third grade, right? Like before I even was getting money, right.
It was a unspoken agreement that you signed up for before you could know that I was really signing up for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I love that.
To being able to kind of step back and reevaluate the agreements that you have in your life and saying if they serve me or not.
Exactly.
And really being able to like, nope, that doesn't serve me. I'm gonna cut that off.
I'm gonna get that.
You know what I mean? And having that discipline.
Real, and that's real, bro. Like sitting there, like, cause we said it earlier, like sitting there, like, what is serving a group and what is not, and that's like one of the things that it's not, only for business. You know what I mean? So,
and some people love the shit, like they, like and that's what I had to learn. Like I had to get to a point because, I'll tell my story. I hated Drake, like with a passion. I was like, bro, you're not gonna keep selling me the same album every year. Like you're not gonna do it and then keep getting called GOAT. Like that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I could not understand for the life of me how people were like, but he's the best. And like he would just be everywhere on everything. And I'm just like, I don't get it. He's giving us the same album over and over and over again, right? And then Kendrick Lamar came out. Like, really, it was like Kendrick, J. Cole, and I had been like listening to like Section 80 and stuff, and everybody had kept giving me the excuse of, well, he keeps putting it out because people keep buying it. He keeps putting it out because people keep buying it. And that's what people want. The fans don't want the And then Kendrick Lamar comes out, has best album, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, everybody. Shut the fuck up, everybody. Because he's not talking about the bullshit. He hasn't given us the same album, and he's top of the charts. So you shut the fuck up. So, I digress to say, like, I don't hate Drake. It was just, like, the world's mentality on, like, that sameness. Like, he represents sameness to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not so much, like, he's a great writer. You know, bruh. And I'm not mad at you as a business person. Like, I had to end up separating myself into two separate people, right? I can love you as a business person. If I had some money, I'd invest. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love you as a business person, but the artist in me hates you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the artist in me does not like you.
That's a lot for me right now with R&B right now. Like, that shit is very cookie cutter. As fuck.
Right. They have a formula that works. They know people will consume it. There's a big audience for it. Therefore, but I mean, like I was saying with the, does that affect your music? Like I feel like there's always that push and pull of like, we know what the industry wants and we're capable of doing it. But then at the same time, we don't want to compromise our artistry just to placate to a system that we know don't even really serve us. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot of guys that ask me, like, do I want to start a label? And I'm like, you want me to take your money?
Yeah.
Like, straight up, that's the first question I say, you want me to take your money? And you want me to own your shit? That's what you want? That's what labels do. But people are like, bro, I just want to mess with you. You want to start a label? So you want me to take your money and take your stuff? I mean, if you want me to rob you, I can, but... From the work you've already been doing before you met. So I'm just like, and the reason why I really love Kendrick Lamar is on two different levels, and why I hated Drake. Right? Drake represented sameness to me, and then Kendrick to me represented like the new way of doing things. Like if Drake is like going to work for a job for 20 years and getting a retirement, right? Like that's Drake. Kendrick to me is more of like the new school way of working. Like you're not gonna go get a job for 20 years and go get a retirement and be able to live off that. That's not it. You have to go out, grind, build you something on your own, a manufactured way of making money, which is what Kendrick had, right? He was selling albums, he was doing shows, he had ticket sales before he ever went to a label. So now I'm bringing business to you and I'm offering you a piece of it so that you can help me with all your money, right? Like now this is mutually beneficial, but if you don't want to come to me the way that I want you to come, I don't need you because I already have money coming in. Right? I'm just giving you access. You know, if you give me access to your purse. But that's leverage. So he's teaching to me, if you're watching it, right? He's teaching you how, if you want to be in the game and be mainstream, he's teaching you how to do it. Go out, do your grind, do your shows, get your CD sales, get your data there, the evidence, so that when you go to a label, you're trading in leverage and collateral. Not wishes and dreams, because I don't buy wishes and dreams.
Right.
I don't think anybody else up in here
see, that's the
buys
thing.
wishes and dreams.
And that's the thing where I see the group going is where like we're so, we already got our shit planned. We already got our number ones. We already got our hits. We already got our streams. We making money. All we need is just opportunities. Right. We don't really want to sign with nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's just opportunity. Hey,
to that point.
Where
I'm gonna let you go.
Where can your door open for us? Can you get us to Madison Square Garden? You know what I mean, and so on and so forth. Because it's like how a lot of the groups that we listen to, they're signed, but I don't think they're like on some like mainstream shit to where they still have
they have autonomy.
They still have rights to their shit,
yeah.
And then on top of that, it's not like they have to produce a certain amount of music.
I treat it like a 9 to 5. Everything is in support to the vision, right? If being on a label can help me to achieve what I want, then cool. If it's not, then cool. Like,
and that's where we're going
I'm
with it.
not tied to a label, but I'm not against the idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like whatever is going to be most conducive to me achieving the success that I want to achieve.
Right.
And not getting in front of that. But to your point of like the opportunity, I feel like most people, like the Instagram, the TikToks, it's so much on being revealed. Like, I just want people to see me. I want people to notice me, that they don't spend a lot of time preparing, right? Doing the shows, doing the road gigs, doing the late nights, doing the 2 people showed up today, John, so that when you do get that opportunity, you guys have been doing this so long, so consistently, so, you know what I mean, that this is second nature. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you. We ready. And you know what I'm saying? Because you're preparing yourself instead of just focusing solely on being revealed.
Right. And see, there's a group in our studio, OG group, right? And Miles asked them a question like, "Oh, when's your next show?" And they were like, "Oh, we don't know, but they're just rehearsing." They said they only missed 2 rehearsals out the year, right?
That's
that
crazy.
Speaks volumes, right?
Hey, no, straight
because
up.
It's like if they're rehearsing in their bag every Tuesday or whatever it is.
It don't matter when the call come in.
It don't matter when the call come in.
It don't matter when the call come
fuck
in.
Fuck an Instagram. Fuck your little story that you practice on, record it 17 times, whatever the fuck, just for that day.
Right.
These guys are in here working, so when they get the call, hey, Usher's here. Whoop, whoop. He wants to do good
we
kisser
need bang,
and
bang,
whatever.
bang. Yeah.
And just to add to that, to any musician that may listen, like definitely don't just practice for whatever gig shows up. Right. And then now you get inspired. Oh, that's the price? Okay, cool. Let me go. Nah, for me, I mean, and y'all already know, like that rehearsals is everything. Like if we didn't do a show for another year and only rehearsed, I'm cool with that because I feel like rehearsals is the grind, it is the process, it is the ability to fall in love with the thing. It's a partnership, it's a courtship, you know what I mean? Like you got to spend time with your ladies, right? You got to spend time with your partner, whoever it is. in order to develop something, you got to spend time with it, regardless of what you think is going to happen. Because then now you're not necessarily a slave, but now you're kind of being controlled by that outcome, more so than just what the mission is, right? Like show up and show out, consistently.
And I think the amount of time and energy you put into something is going to be directly correlated to the result that you receive from it. You know what I mean? So if you're looking for, like I read this book called 10X. Love the book. If you ain't read it, read the shit. It's crazy. But it helped me to see how I can limit myself with my own expectations. You know what I mean? If I set a goal and I say, well, I only want to get 3, right? If I don't make that goal, maybe I only made 1. But if I had to set a goal of 10, you know what I mean, and I missed that, I probably got 7. So it's like I'm limiting myself by the goals that I'm setting. So just go 10 times more of whatever you think you might want.
And me and Kenan had a conversation a while ago. So I seen a quote from K. Michelle, and she said a lot of the reason why she made it is because she was kind of delusional.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah,
no,
100%.
Straight up.
Like, when I talked about how I already see us doing a world tour, like, if I were to tell anybody else, probably outside this room, like, the fuck, bro? Like, but it's like, nah, like, that's kind of expectation. And if you don't have that expectation or that goal, then, like, like they say, if your problems don't scare you, or not your problems, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough.
Correct.
Yeah. And I 100% believe that. Like, doing a world tour, it sounds like, yo, that's huge, that's crazy, but it's crazy. It's not crazy enough where I feel like we can't do it. And to your point with your setting the goals is kind of how far you're gonna go. Like, why not go all the way? At it. You know what I mean? Like, why not?
Not saying I'm planning to fail, but I mean, if I do, it's way higher than what I was thinking. You know what I mean? And
Cosmic Roots World 2 coming soon.
Coming soon. But the way I think about it, like when you say like it's gotta be there, right? Like there is, once you set the intention in your mind, hey, we're gonna go on a world tour. Now all of my actions are gonna follow behind that. So now when the opportunity does present itself, if you didn't have that thought in your mind, you wouldn't even know. Like, it would present itself, but it would be a non-factor to you because it's not something you want, right? So it's like you have to know what you want first, and then once the universe presents it to you, you'll know to grasp onto it. Because I've been meditating on it, you know what I mean? And I've been putting my actions into it so that I can line up and get to the right spaces where this opportunity may be. You know what I mean?
And that's happened with us, like, already with recording. Before we recorded our first 2 singles, Summertime and Wait Up, it was like, we record ourselves, so we want to make an album. And then it was first like we want to make an album, you know what I mean? And then after that, it was like, what do you think about recording ourselves? You know what I mean? And we took the sacrifice of, doing shows and not taking the checks. We won't eat for about like
just to put it into the
right,
group. Right,
3-4 months
that's crazy
just to get
it's 5
the mixer.
Y'all and 5 like I do business. I done tried to put black people together for a long time. Mind you, everything in this drawing is me, right? Through that door to this door, I'm rented all. So like that was always my vision. The Soul Aquarian thing was just to be able to go up and down. Everybody you hear, studios all up and down here. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be able to do music, but use my capacity to be able to do business, to put together things to like help everybody else to do exactly what I wanted to do, which was not have to worry about everything else. Just come make music. Like, I wish somebody else was doing all the rest of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So when because I was doing it all by myself. I was making the beats. I was recording myself. I was mixing and mastering. I was putting it out on Facebook. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you guys can kind of spread it out now amongst the 5 of you. Because I started in a group, rap group. You know what I mean? So I kind of was familiar with just doing one verse and stuff like that. But once I started on my own, I was just me. So it's difficult to do all of that on your own and at the same time stay like motivated. You know what I mean? Because it's like, especially in the beginning, you're not going, you know what I mean? Not everybody's liking your shit. You might put something out, you get 2 likes, no comments. You be like, bro, this is the rawest I've ever made in my life.
Right. And
it gets no reception. So it's like you gotta be your own encouragement system. You gotta be everything. So it's nice having a collective that you guys can lean on each other.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and just, like I said, we sacrifice, making money and putting the money into Cosmic. You know,
that's crazy.
It's cool that we can trust each other to do that. You know what I mean? And that was just a vision in itself. Like we seen it happening, but didn't know how to go about it. You know what I mean? And, you know, all of a sudden we got it, and now we're saying so many times before we got it, oh, we just want to come here and press record. You know what I mean? We just want to come here and press record. Now we're able to do that.
You can do that.
You
right.
know what I mean? And so, like we were saying about the label, is like, you know, we're gonna be so much in our bag with already recording ourselves to where we don't even need anybody. But if the opportunity presents itself in the correct way, you know, why not? Because like you said, you know, it's gonna get to a period of time they're like, man, we gonna wish we had somebody else now.
Right.
Because the amount of songs and the amount of shows is gonna catch up to us, you know.
Yeah,
so,
like your track record is gonna be with you. You know what I'm saying?
Like that second album was hard. Let's go on tour and be like, fuck, we trying to make the third, but don't got no damn time. Fuck.
Man, what was that song? I know there was a song I sent you where I was like, bro, I've been listening to this song 48,000 times. It's a song y'all put out. Let me see.
Wait Up by Cosmic Roots.
Wait Up. Yeah. Bruh.
Yeah.
Because I think I got my haircut. We were talking about like doing bringing you guys on. And I was like, bro, because I like to do my research, find out like what you guys kind of music sounds like and everything. And like I just got to Wait Up and I was like, bro, this a vibe. Like this this a whole vibe, right? Like,
appreciate that.
And it's one of them Johns where like I can just loop it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's that kind of, I don't know if you guys ever like read a book or you watched a show and like you so in love with it, once it's over, you like almost mourn it a little bit. Yeah. Like, damn, like my niggas is done. Like,
I love that.
You know what I mean? No matter how good like the ending might have been, but you know like this is the end of that journey. And I was like, that's kind of how that song happened. Like, bruh, encore it, bruh, encore it.
Hey, we appreciate that, bro. And I feel like that's one thing we really want to get across, even to like the listeners, is like we're really a group of 5 black men that's doing this for the love of music, the love of each other, and the love of what we really are trying to do in this life before we leave this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I say it all the time, and people, it might be cliche, but it's really bigger than the music. Like,
nah, you can feel that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that. Like getting to talk to you guys and kind of get a deeper understanding of like where you guys are coming from, it definitely gives me a better understanding and a deeper understanding of the music, and that definitely transcends and comes through. Like I wouldn't have to talk to any of you guys to know that everybody here is a very grounded and like you just can't make music like that. Because to me, music is feeling, so you can't make feelings you don't have. You know what I mean? Like, because you're not in tune with it. You know what I mean?
That's the bar.
So it's like being able to listen to y'all music. I was like, yeah, we're going to be able to vibe. We're going to be able to vibe.
One thing I can say, because like, I really liked Wait Up for Show because of how organic it came together. Like, we was just jamming. Keenan it was the end of rehearsal. Keenan put on a bass line.
Right.
Joey laid some keys on top of it, and I just started freestyling.
Right.
And that's basically the song. Then we add, you know, Jay's elements with the drums, you know, Miles with the sax, you know, and then it just blossomed into what it was today. But if I could relive that night, I would, because like everything that I said was exactly how I felt in the moment. Like, feeling broke is no joke. I swear to God. Even though I work hard and really on my job, I'm working every single day, and I still feel the same exact way monetarily.
Yeah.
But at least I'm here, and I got my music, and I'm here with my boys, and I'm doing it. And we're going to get our weight up together, you know?
And you know why that line hit me? Because when I was in the military, like I said, like, it was like my life's been pretty tumultuous, but specifically when I was in the military, I got to a really dark spot because I was very focused on like what I wanted to do and like how my life was supposed to go. And me and my wife were having issues. So it's just like a lot of things. Like I was making good money. had been promoted. Like I was doing good professionally, but like the rest of my life was fucked up. You know what I mean? And it was like, I don't understand why I'm so good at so many things, like I cannot get this right. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So it was very hard on me and trying to like figure out what I wanted to do. And it was like, I just felt like I was like stuck and I couldn't, that the world was making me have to do these things. And I had to get to a point where I understood that it wasn't like money. It wasn't making other people happy. It wasn't trying to do everything that I thought the world wanted me to do. But I had to figure out, what is it that you want to do, Robert? Because right now you got a lot of money, you have a beautiful wife, you got kids, but you're miserable. Like, you are not happy. Does not matter how, like, you are not happy. Until you can be real with yourself about that, it's not going to change. So I'm like, okay, you're not happy. Okay, now what do we do? So it's like, okay, figure out what it is that you want to do. So I ended up leaving the military. My wife hated that. You know what I mean? But it was just like, this does not serve the purpose that I feel aligned to, and that's why I'm unhappy. It doesn't matter how much money I'm making. It does not matter. This is not aligned with the purpose that I want to serve, and it's making me miserable, so I'd rather be broke and happy than rich and miserable. I'll say that any day. Any day.
Wait Up is really like a song that's not even about just money. It can be anything, you know what I mean? Anything that inspires you to get your weight up, you know, like, you know, mental health, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that has you down, let's get up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so,
because it's not about, like, it's like you were saying, it's not so much about it being about the money, right? That was the realization, is that you can have all the money you want and you can make more money, but if you're not fixing the root core of the problem, you're still going to be unhappy. Like, if you haven't figured out what it is that you really want, right? Because the money is just a tool for you to be able to get what you want, right? So if you're just seeking the money, once you got all of it, you're still going to be lost because you don't know what you want.
And man, that's what a lot of people don't understand, bro. Because I feel you. I got out the Air Force 2018, so
right.
Same, yeah, same thing for me, bro. It was like coming from where I come from.
Shout out to my veterans.
Yes, sir. Coming from where I come from is like very, very rural. Like,
right, and they push it on you like, hey
100%.
man, if you ain't got no plan, it's what's this
no,
for you.
There's nothing
this
to do.
You.
And I feel like especially for like people, our people, and people that come from where I come from, is like, I mean, you have a small town where you know everybody in your high school is 20, 30 people in your class. There's nothing to do but violence and everything around you, and it's like, going to the military for me was like getting out of the circumstances of things that I see my
getting
family doing.
Getting out of a bad environment.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, yeah.
Seeing my family doing, seeing everybody around me doing, and it's like that's so encouraged to the point where it's like, all right, I got out, and my family is like looking at me. It's like, oh, you made it. You're in the military. You're doing this and doing that. But it's like, I had to be real with myself and understand that I wasn't happy. Like, the life I was living wasn't serving me, and that was one big reason that pushed me to get out the military and pursue the music. And it was like, when you're getting out, everybody, all your leadership is, hey, bro, you're doing so good. You're passing the PT. You're leading.
Look how much money you make.
Yeah, you, bro.
I don't know if they do this to y'all in the Air Force, but I'll never forget this. And honestly, it made me make myself a promise. Like, they give you this paper, right? And it's like, because you get a lot of other benefits outside of just your pay when you're in the military. You get your base pay, you get basic pay, or housing allowances if you're married. They pay for, like, if you overseas, they give you additional money for COLA. Like, you get a lot of stuff. They pay for your health insurance. It's a lot of stuff that you're getting. You got 401k. So they give you this sheet, and it's like tallies up, like, basically how much all those benefits would be worth monetarily. This is how much money you need to be able to make on the outside world to live equivalent to what we give you here, right?
100%.
And I remember it was like, I think it was like, I was a E5 at the time, sergeant. I had been in like 7 years, and they said it was gonna be like 50K. They were like, 50K is what you need to be able to make. And I was like, bet. I'll do this in 2 years.
Yep.
Like, they didn't. My wife was mad, like upset. Like, you gotta understand, military.
You throwing away that guaranteed
I don't know about
paycheck?
all spouses,
First
but
and
my
15?
wife loved the military, and she was like, "We get to travel, all this other stuff. It's a check." I don't care, but I didn't want to do it, so I got out, and I was like, "I can do that." And I told my wife, I was like, "Look, I think I was 25 at the time, and I was like, look, give me 5 years. If by 30 I'm not making $50,000 or more, I'll go back in. Not a problem." I already got 7. I only got 13 left. I'll be 43 when I get out. Yep. Okay. So I was like, hey, give me 5 years. And I got out, went to school, and the first job I got, $23.50 an hour full time, $50,000. So I mean, but is it? I say that not to like boast of myself, but like they try to scare you and be like, you're never gonna make this out there. It's a bad economy, and it's like, but I had the intention. I knew what I wanted, and I was like, man, bet, and I was able to do it.
To anyone if you have a dream, a plan, anything, I don't care if you living in your mama's basement, if you in the military right now, if you broke, don't know what to do. Do not stop following your dream. There is no time limit. There is no age limit. As long as you have breath in that's one thing my mom always told me growing up. As long as you have breath in your body, you have another opportunity to either change, make something new, or do better. There's no stigma. Well, there's stigma on a lot of things, but there's no age limit. There's no any limit. There's no limits at all besides what you put on yourself. So if you see a dream, you have something that you really want to go for, know what you need to do that. Surround yourself with people that are respecting your vision, that have a similar vision to yourself, and never stop. It don't matter what anybody say. Fuck the naysayers. Fuck the people in your family that's saying, "Oh well, baby, you can stay in the military for a couple years and do." If that's not serving your soul and what you're doing for you personally, because at the end of the day, we do what we do for other people and for our family, but. If I'm not straight...
That's because you made that decision.
Exactly. If I'm not straight, I can't be there or take care of anybody else in my family. So we have to take care of us first.
Facts.
And that's really why I appreciate my brothers right here in Cosmic.
Well, that's beautiful. Well, I'm not going to take up too much more of y'all time. I think that's a beautiful place where we can leave it off. Anybody got any last words? Anywhere we can see you guys in the near future?
Make sure y'all stream Wait Up on Apple Music, definitely. Spotify, Tidal, YouTube.
We're going to put the link in the description.
All that good stuff.
It's a vibe.
Follow us on Instagram at Cosmic Roots Music, Facebook at Cosmic Roots Music.
I'll link to that YouTube page as well.
All that. And keep in touch with all the shows we got coming up. Much more music coming out as well. Working on solidifying and finishing the album. And hopefully we got much more shows coming up after that to support the album and everything. But look out for Cosmic Roots and appreciate you for bringing us in, man. Really appreciate the time.
I appreciate y'all.
Come check us out, man. December 15th, right?
Yep, December 15th, Stanford
we'll be out before
party.
then. Yeah, December 15th. Go check out Cosmic Roots in Stanford. Only one person in my high school got into Stanford. She was the valedictorian. So if you got a chance to go to Stanford, you might not never get another chance.
Yeah. Pull up.
Well, no, I appreciate you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming out and for making the time. To come to HyperView. Hopefully, we'll get you back before y'all make y'all first platinum record.
Hey, yes, sir.
Yeah, man. On the way.
Out there. I'm putting it out. I highly believe y'all, because y'all put me in the same mindset as like you were saying, Soul Quarians, De La Soul, Erykah Badu, like the Roots. Like that's the kind of the pocket that you, and it's not like I feel like that's. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I feel like that's wide open right now. It's like a lot of people are kind of chasing the numbers, so they are doing the more business savvy way of, okay, what's the audience that's already out there? Let me try to take a piece of that market space, which I'm not mad at. It's a business decision, but I feel like you guys are going the more artistic route of like, we're really trying to cultivate a sound here and find our audience and have our audience find us.
Yes, sir.
I think I'll leave it on this note, right? I was talking to a young man and he asked me, we was playing basketball and he was like, hey, he found out I did music and he was like, well, how do I get people to buy my album or listen to my song? And I was like, bro, you asking me the wrong question.
Yeah.
So I was like, you talking to the wrong person. If you're trying to get somebody to buy your album or listen to your song or do whatever, like that's not your audience. And I gave him the example of what kind of phone you got? He's like, I got an iPhone. It's like, when you went and bought that iPhone, did anybody sell it to you? Nah, I just went and bought it. Yeah, exactly, because you knew what you wanted, and you went there and got it. Now, ain't nobody sold you shit. Yep. The only time we feel like we got sold is when we leave and we upset. But that's not selling. That's manipulation, right? That's why you're upset, because you didn't want it and you got it anyway. So manipulation is when I can get you to do something I want you to do, even though you didn't want to do it. But when you selling something, right? When I'm truly selling to you, right? I'm only really understanding what your motivation is, what your problem is. Then I'm gonna present you with a solution, right? So, and I treat music the same way, right? When you're trying to like find your audience, like like he was saying, I don't care about the people who don't like my music. I ain't talking to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'll never have to try to get somebody to listen to my music. They're either gonna like it or they're not. And I would prefer you to tell me if you don't like it, so I can move on. Right. You know what I mean? So I could go find the person who does. You know what I mean? And for all the artists out there, you know what I'm saying? Take notes, take lessons, look up the Cosmic Roots. They all are amazing musicians, and always keep that in mind. Your fans, your diehard fans, they're going to want your music. It's just that your job is to find them and make yourself findable. Appreciate y'all.
Cosmic Roots.
Yee, HyperView.
Make it